Stigma has never worked to root out social ill in the past. I think mental health is the reason why these things happen, and you can't just like bully a person out of doing a horrible thing. Like, it's not like rational people don't necessarily do these horribly irrational acts.
Okay, so may I ask you a question?
Yeah.
May I ask you so I'm not saying I have this evidence, but just hypothetically, if I could provide you with evidence that stigmatizing certain behaviors and even shaming certain behaviors causes a change in outcomes, would you be willing to change your mind on whether or not we should use certain terms to describe certain behaviors like lunatic? Where are we, young man?
In Williams College?
Excellent, good, extra credit, you know what you're talking about. Campus safety should be armed. 3, 2, 1, move. Okay, why did you move?
I think that the definition of armed is different. So like if we're talking armed and specifically firearms, then that's different. But for example, like
Not like a sword, like a firearm, like a pistol.
Okay, because I'm thinking about it, it's like I'm technically armed because I have self-defense skills. So so in that way, like
What are you, like a kung fu master or something? Or what?
I did karate for a number of years, and then I learned some Muay Thai over the summer.
Oh my goodness, this is a very dangerous woman here. Reed, be on your best behavior at dinner. Okay, so I'm talking like firearms, like shotguns, pistols, rifles. Oh, you strongly disagree.
Yes.
So you move. What? Okay, so why did you move?
Because I think that number one, having firearms in like for the use of protection makes an assumption that like it's going into a dangerous place. And I think campus safety is unique compared to having the police intervene, and that let's say there is a situation that's going awry, then campus safety is going to come in and not immediately take it as like a life or death situation. Because if it is like a situation like that, we do have police services, but to be able to first call campus safety, I think that's key.
Okay, do you know how long it would take the police, not the campus security, how long would it take the police who are armed? I assume the police here are armed. They're armed everywhere else. How long would it take them to get here on campus?
I'm not sure, but the police department is not too far away. I think I'd like walk there.
Do you guys know how long it would be? 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. So why are you on slightly agree?
Because I think firearms with the with CSS would be helpful in the sense that in certain cases where there's like an unanticipated delay in the police reaching here, they could take some action with the arms they have. But also I believe that their like kind of use of the arms should be curtailed, which is why I'm standing like slightly agreed, because it has to be within control, or else like it would look as if the arms aren't being used properly and it could harm like students on campus. But I do think that they can do the work of police. That's why they are here on campus as like the first contact in like security cases.
Okay. Okay, you moved.
I moved.
Why? What did he say something that caused
No,
you?
it had nothing to do with you, sorry.
Why did you move?
I moved because I think that there should be a protocol in place, and CSS probably already has one in place, thanks guys, that like I don't think CSS should be armed 24/7, because I think that would like be more, could lend itself to be more escalatory than anything else. And I think we already see like, and I don't think this would happen with CSS, but we see like with police across the country that guns actually leads to like more violence that's unwarranted. But I think that I moved because I thought there should be a system in place for a mass shooting. Like, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes, like how many lives would that take in a mass shooting scenario? So I think that there should be like a firearm somewhere.
Yeah, so that's why I asked how long. That's why I asked those guys how long it would take, because I was thinking that the counterexample to that for people to move would be a mass shooting.
Yeah, totally.
So if some deranged maniac came and started shooting somebody or everybody, what have you, or in here, if these guys don't have guns, we're toast right now.
Yeah.
So if those guys did have, we'd much rather have that they have guns if a lunatic comes in and starts killing everybody. So would that example alone be sufficient for you to move, for both of you to move one line to the left?
Well, I moved one line to the left.
I know, but would that be sufficient for you to move another line to the left?
No, because I think like two things could feasibly exist at once. Like you could have like CSS, our campus security services. Did I get that right? I think that like they can like go unarmed most of the, if not all of the time, so that there isn't violence against like a disproportionate amount of students, and that like never happens.
Yeah.
And also there can be a system in place for if there's a mass shooting for them to like, oh my God, this sounds so official, neutralize the quote unquote target.
Does the lunatic coming in here and killing everybody cause you to move one line to the left for firearms, pistols, that they should have pistols, or no?
I would say no, because to say that they shouldn't be armed 24/7, this is a surprise incident, right? Which means that if we were to protect against it by having firearms, then they would have to carry firearms at all times. Otherwise, they'd have to like go back to Hopkins, then come back here. So
Well,
in
then
that
the
time,
lunatic would know that they only have firearms for certain times, and they'd come and
yeah, exactly. So I'm saying it doesn't matter.
I'm sorry. I'm being. I know. For the YouTube audience. I'm already being a libtard. But I think the way that we like. I'm joking. I'm being facetious. But I think that the way we refer to mass shooters is like kind of important. I think calling them like lunatics
I
or
think that's
deranged.
exactly what we should
And
call them.
I-
What do you think we should
I think
call
they're
them?
like mentally ill people. I think these people are like desperate and mentally ill, and it never justifies like the horrific actions that they do. But I think when we separate it out by just calling it, I think we detach it from like the pervasive mental health issues we have in the country by just calling somebody a lunatic. I think it individualizes it more to the person and doesn't call out like kind of the factors that have led this person to commit like such an atrocity.
Good point, and I'm going to come back to that in the end, but I want to get their comment. Let's do the same thing. Do you guys carry pepper spray or mace or anything? No tasers? Wow, that's crazy to me. CSS should be allowed to carry mace, pepper spray, and tasers. Move. Wow, I'm really surprised. Wow, you don't even think that they should be able to carry mace and pepper spray?
Maybe mace and pepper spray more so than tasers.
Oh, so you're differentiating between, okay, so my fault, that was my mistake. I clumped those together. CSS should be allowed to carry pepper spray. Move. CSS should be allowed to carry tasers. Move. Really? That's interesting to me. Oh, you're neutral. What caused you to move?
So I believe that, I think it depends on like the specific device you're talking about and the potential effects of those. I'm thinking more like in a case where they have to defend a student or like prevent a case from like a situation from escalating. In those cases, something like a pepper spray, something like the batons they were talking about, like some basic arms that they could use for de-escalation or...
Aren't guns, though, an escalation over tasers?
Sorry?
Aren't pistols an escalation over tasers?
They are. But like, I don't know in what situation they would have to use a taser. Or like...
Well, someone coming in here and trying to kill all of us. I mean, if someone comes in here and tries to kill us right now, what the hell are those two guys going to do? They don't have any firearm. Well, okay, you try that. He's flexing. But, I mean, they would have to have some, I mean, maybe I'm thinking about this wrong. I would assume they would have to have some way to protect us.
Yep.
Okay, okay. Okay, so let's do another game. Everybody go back to the neutral line. Okay. Okay, you have to go. Thanks for playing. Okay, go back to the neutral line. I want to do something real quick. Thank you. I want to finish this, and then I want to do another claim. Students should be allowed to carry guns on campus. Move.
I thought you were going to agree for that.
Okay.
She's like, just me.
Okay.
I do like.
Students should be allowed to carry tasers on campus. Move. Okay. Students should be allowed to carry pepper spray on campus. Move.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're thinking, maybe.
What is she thinking?
Women carrying pepper spray on
That's
campus.
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah, because like while self-defense is important, not everyone has the ability to defend themselves like just physically. So having pepper
But
spray.
we can't all be Muay Thai specialists like you. Like, what?
No. Yeah. So it's like if you have to defend yourself, you should have the ability to. But I think giving that to campus safety, for example, like creates an expectation that's different. And I think also, like, let's say that I have pepper spray and I use it to somebody in a not self-defense situation, like I'm gonna face some kind of action for that, right?
Wow, you actually did you move based on her reasoning?
Yeah, and also just I think I don't know. CSS can fill us in if it's against the rules to carry pepper spray on campus or not.
Is it against the rule? It is. It is. So you cannot carry pepper spray.
I think this is all like probably contextual to what school you go to.
I agree.
No, I'm talking about this school.
This school? I think it's like probably like less necessary, but like I've never had the experience of like walking around and being like harassed by a man. So maybe like I'm from New York City and carrying pepper spray is like almost a must. But,
Yeah. Okay. Let's do this one. Professors and faculty in general should be allowed to carry guns on campus. Move.
They would know what to do with them.
Professors and faculty in general should be allowed to carry a taser on campus. Professors and faculty in general should be allowed to carry a mace on campus. Okay, well, new claim. Go on the neutral. We shouldn't call anybody a lunatic. Move. Okay. Okay. Do me a favor. Please pick up the board right there. Write down the best reason you have for standing on the strongly agree. Write down the best reason you have for standing on the disagree. What is the best reason she has for standing on the strongly agree? Take a guess at what her reason is.
I think your reason might be that calling someone a lunatic, number one, takes away from other factors like around why they might be acting that way. And I don't know if this would be included in your response, but it's something that I would add. Also takes away their personal agency.
So which is it? Which is the best reason what is the reason she wrote on the board?
I feel like the reason she wrote on the board is more likely to be other environmental factors that are like contributing to whatever situation in which the person would be a lunatic, or like you would call someone a lunatic then.
Did she guess correctly?
No.
Okay. Is the reason she gave, this is important, is the reason she gave better than the one you have on the board?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Wow, that was a kind of a big no there. Okay. So guess what is the best reason she has for standing on disagree to we shouldn't call anyone a lunatic?
Hers is probably like more nuanced and thought out and smarter than this. But my like immediate, I didn't really think much about it, but my immediate reaction is like people do horrific, atrocious things and like that really deviate from the norm and cause like grave harm, and we should like denounce those things with the most like powerful language we know possible.
Is she correct?
No.
Okay.
Is it better than yours? No.
Is the reasoning better than yours?
I would say no.
Okay. All right. So you only have two more guesses for her. Go ahead. Or you can say I don't know. No problem. It's always a good answer.
But if I have the opportunity, I should take it. Like a one shot or two shots. Is it that calling someone a lunatic distracts from their like real struggles?
Calling someone a lunatic is a distraction from their real struggles.
I mean, kind of. It's kind
Is
of.
it
not
enough for you to
specific.
say yes?
No.
Okay. Take a guess at hers. Take a guess at hers. You only have two more, so you got to make these good.
Make them good. Lunatic. That some people. I don't know. I really don't.
You can say I don't know. You can
I don't know.
pass.
I
You want to
pass.
pass? All right. Can you show her your reasoning and read it out loud, please?
Absurdism is key, and then in parentheses, especially for personal relationships, and parentheses, to point out lapses in reason.
Do you understand her reasoning?
Like, kind of. I think we approach like lunacy in a different way. Like when I hear the word lunatic to describe a person, I think of a person describing another person in their entirety. Like that person just is a lunatic instead of like many lapses in judgment and reason. So I thought of it more as like a mental health issue than somebody just doing something that's absurd.
Do you understand her comment?
I do understand your comment. I think at the same time, we use identity-based language to describe things a lot. and separating this as specific, I think like it just doesn't make sense in the long term.
Okay. Do you want to take a guess, or do you want her to reveal it?
I'll pass.
Okay. Can you please reveal your reasoning to her and read it? Yeah. It is. Go ahead. You read it.
Okay. It is an unproductive way to approach mental health because it puts all the impetus on one person being a lone lunatic instead of it being a pervasive mental health being a pervasive societal issue that we should try to mitigate.
Do you understand her reasoning?
I think so.
Do you agree with it?
I think to an extent. At the same time, we have personal actions and like personal issues, and then we also have systemic actions and systemic issues. And that's not to say that the personal issues don't derive from the systemic like issues in some way, but I think we should also be looking at personal issues, and we can't only focus on systemic issues.
Okay. Go ahead, and then we gotta go ahead.
I think it was just like planted in my head earlier because when we first used the word lunatic or the term lunatic, we were referring to a mass shooting. So I was thinking of it as like somebody referring to a lunatic as somebody who like commits a grossly atrocious action. And I think you were maybe thinking of the word lunatic in a different like tone.
Okay. Is there any? So two things. So hold on to the board and hold on to the marker. Hold on to it. Is there anything either one of you said that would cause you to move one mat? Is there anything in her reasoning that would cause you to move one mat?
I think we're talking about two different things, like two different like ideas or definition of or uses of the word lunatic.
Okay, good. All right, so put those down. Go back to the neutral. New claim. If society causes someone to be a certain way, they should get a pass on being judged.
Like legally or?
Judge not lest ye be judged, Matthew 7:1. Just they get a pass on being judged. I don't know why I just quoted scripture. I'm a complete atheist. But anyway, if society causes someone to be a certain way, they should get a pass on being judged. Move. You thinking? You can remain on the neutral.
I don't think it's like specific enough not to criticize.
You can criticize, read all you want.
Okay.
What?
Sorry, Reed.
What could make that claim more specific that
It's
would
like
cause you to move?
It's vague to me.
What
'Cause
specificity would you add to the claim?
So if society causes someone to be a certain way, they should get a pass on being judged. Being judged by who? In like what manner?
Well, in the way that similar to your reasoning about not calling someone who bursts in here and mass murders us a lunatic.
I would call that I would think that there's like lunacy to the action and like a horrible unconscionableness to the action, but I don't think that that using the word lunatic is a productive way to tackle mental health issues.
So bracket the word lunatic for a second. What about society causes people to be a certain way? I don't know, whatever the way. You can go around the world and think of any of the society that you want. I don't want to contaminate the conversation. A society causes
it's a mix
them.
of factors.
Okay.
I think.
So do they get a pass on being judged?
No, I mean, I think.
So where would you move?
I would move right here, neutral. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm not being moved. Sorry. I'm in clinical psych, and like mental health is basically boiled down to both environmental and hereditary factors. So if I'm born with like a gene that predisposes me to, say, schizophrenia, and then it's like triggered by an event, be it like a traumatic event or like social things, like they've found that like discrimination causes like distress in people that leads to mental health outcomes. If I think society is both to blame for that, and also I'm not necessarily blaming society for it, but I'm also not blaming the individual for it. I'm blaming a confluence of factors that have led to a certain outcome.
All right, cool. I think we're done. But before we go, I want to give you my reasoning for why I think it's essential that we call people lunatics who do despicable things. I think when you use a pejorative term like that, you are helping to shape the culture, the moral mind of the culture, so that if you place a neutral term on that thing, or even if you say that it is a mental health issue, but if you stigmatize something sufficiently, that's the way that we can hopefully nudge people toward more rational, more sane behavior. That would be my argument.
Can we respond or not?
100%. This is a free state, free country.
Free country. Free Williams College. I don't
Well,
think,
thank you. That's a high compliment.
A high compliment. I don't think like stigma like roots out the underlying issues that cause calamity to happen necessarily. Like you can't just say like call people that do atrocious actions like a mass shooting like lunatics and like I can't think of another pejorative term, maniacs. And that's enough, and mass shootings will be eliminated. I think stigma has never worked to root out social ill in the past. I think mental health is the reason why these things happen, and you can't just like bully a person out of doing a horrible thing. Like it's not like rational people don't necessarily do these horribly irrational acts.
Okay, so may I ask you a question? So I'm not saying I have this evidence, but just hypothetically, if I could provide you with evidence that stigmatizing certain behaviors and even shaming certain behaviors causes a change in outcomes, would you be willing to change your mind on whether or not we should use certain terms to describe certain behaviors like lunatic?
Like slightly, but I just think like if I play along with the hypothetical, like I would move to slightly disagree. But I think historically, stigma and pejorative terms have never worked to move society forward, if not cause people to repress in a way that ultimately boils to the top and causes more like social calamity. And
you had a comment on that?
I think that you also have to. I think the word stigma is very loaded, and I think when we think about stigma, we usually think about it in negative contexts. But I'm thinking about stigma the way that you described it in terms of setting expectations. And let's say we're on campus and like a white student calls like a student of color a slur, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, bro, that's racist. Like that sucks. Like you can say pejorative statements to that.
So you have to make sure you stigmatize the right. Can we do one more claim? One more. Okay, go back to the neutral. Go back to the neutral. So in the past, we were wrong when we stigmatized, for example, homosexuality. But now we're stigmatizing things like calling someone the N-word. There's a that's like a grade 1 stigma. So, right? Well, I mean, there are degrees of stigma, right? Sure. So I'm trying to think of something like society would benefit if we stigmatized.
Sorry, not to cut you off.
No, cut me off.
We stigmatize pedophilia, and most members of society find that productive. Like if we like.
So some things and some okay. So yeah.
I also think going back to your point, I think the distinction is whether people will be influenced by societal expectations. So if we look at mass shootings, like I think someone who's willing to commit a mass shooting is already like out of the norm, is already not going to listen to societal expectations.
Okay.
But let's say someone is going to be racist, they might have more of those pressures.
I got one. I'm just going to warn you right now. This is controversial, and if you don't want to do it, you don't have to.
Consent is key.
Consent is key. Thank you.
Disagree.
Due to the obesity epidemic, we should stigmatize what people eat. Move. Okay. Due to the obesity epidemic, we should stigmatize fat people. Move. You got to pick one.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you got to pick one.
Is this about fat people as a population, or is this fat people individuals?
Both. That's how I took it.
Oh,
I'm trying to think of like, what are the limits of stigma?
Because I think that if stigma is like directed at a specific person, like if I go up to someone and I'm like, oh, why are you fat? Like you shouldn't be fat. Versus if generally I'm like, oh, this is a belief that I hold, and maybe I.
Well, how about this? I go back to the neutral. Let's say that you're at a restaurant, and the people at the table next to you are morbidly obese, and they have 2 kids who are morbidly obese, and they order 4 extra large hot fudge sundaes. Do they call them Jimmy's here with those sprinkles, they're like sugar sprinkles on top? It is morally wrong for you to shoot them a disapproving look. And they have 2 minors with them who are morbidly obese. Move.
I will say I don't think it's the most productive thing, though. Yeah.
No, but that's a different question.
I think more morally, like, what is it, morally wrong?
Yes.
It's like really strong terminology.
Well,
I'm on slightly.
you're on the slightly disagree. So
Like, I think, like, is it morally wrong for me to ever shoot anybody, like, a disapproving look? I don't know.
well, what about the guy who bursts in here? What about if someone started defecating here? I mean, wouldn't you shoot them a disapproving look?
I'd run away so I don't have to smell it.
Yeah, I mean, you'd shoot them a disapproving look and tell them to use the restroom, right? So there are some behaviors we, as a society, we have to
Sure,
police.
yeah. But I don't think it's my, like, job to police another, like, people's eating habits. I don't think it's the responsibility. It's like any of my business, really. I do think, like, you've tried to complicate it very smartly by, like, putting 2 minors there, like, because
She's wise to me, Reed.
yeah,
She's wise to the game here.
I know these games. Like, by putting 2 minors there that probably, like, don't know what's going on, and, like, their parents just tell them what to eat, it complicates it. But I just don't think it's probably any of my business to be interacting.
But is it morally
with
wrong? Because that creates a stigma, right? If everybody in the restaurant did that, that would create a stigma. And if enough stigma is created, it's possible. I'm not saying it's true. Oh, are you moving?
No, because I keep thinking about productivity
Okay.
of the action, and it's like if everyone were to send them a disapproving look, how would they know that it's because of what they ordered and not that they were fat?
I want to, like, complicate it a little bit.
Please, that's why we're here.
If we change the hypothetical to, like, one obese person eating a sundae and you shoot them a disapproving look, I think it's different than the entire family. Because, like, I always think about, like, times when I'm eating, like, this is going on YouTube. I always think about times that I, like, eat a burger or a sundae in public, and I've, like, thought about how I barely ever have to think about somebody shooting me a disapproving look. But, like...
Because you're not obese.
Because I'm not morbidly obese. Whereas, like, and I get to, like, enjoy a simple pleasure that I, like, engage in, like, moderately and, like, don't overdo. Whereas, like, I don't know how true this is, but for a morbidly obese person, they could be eating, like, 1 burger a month. But if somebody looks at them, like, disapprovingly in public, like, their eating patterns are more stigmatized.
So for you, is the rightness or wrongness of the action connected to the outcome? Like if we had a society that truly stigmatized eating sundaes, and we knew yeah, like everybody, well, any kind of sugar-based things, that's the primary way people get type diabetes and all that. Like if we had a society that truly, type 2, that truly stigmatized that, and you knew that the health outcomes over time, like, I don't know, 4 years, would be increased for those people, would you be more likely to say that it's morally acceptable to shoot people looks when they're eating, fat people when they're eating sundaes?
I think that if there was already some sort of stigma built in around sundaes, like
Snickers bars or whatever.
Yeah, I think again it's still how do they know that I'm sending them the look because of what they're eating and not because of the way that they look?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. I think that, like, given the disapproving look, the implication is that you're shooting them a look because they are both obese and eating the sundae. Mm-hmm. And that the sundae is causing and perpetuating the obesity.
Yeah, but I think that we can't determine if the sundae is perpetuating or causing the obesity. And
But we do.
How do we know that?
But that's it. Like, when the implication is, like, you're shooting a look, and the look is because you think that the person is obese because they have a perpetual pattern of
and they
eating
ought not to eat the sundae.
I'm saying that I'm looking at them and I am not jumping to that conclusion.
Yeah, but I don't believe that for most people. I think the hypothetical was set up with that in mind. I think the hypothetical was set up to be like fat or obese people, like, eat sundaes and it causes, like, this cycle. Like, I think that's what the hypothetical was set up under the assumption that people do that.
I'll give you a last word.
Okay. Okay. My mom was morbidly obese. She watches your videos, so she'll see this. Big fan. Yeah, big fan.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom.
And like, she doesn't really consume a lot of sugar, like, at all. And a lot of her obesity was tied to health issues.
Okay.
Because of that, like, again, we don't know why someone is doing something. We can't make...
Just to be clear, I'm not advocating we shoot them looks. No, I'm not. I'm genuinely not. I'm just saying, like, as a society, it gets back to stigma. It gets back to the lunatic. It gets back to the words we use. Yeah, I'm trying to tease out. Yeah.
But I think that we should be discouraging that being fat as a result of unhealthy eating is okay. But because of how many steps are there, I don't think that like shooting someone a disapproving look while making all these assumptions is productive. I think focusing on like healthy eating and how people can do that, and like how we can invest in nutritious food and out of food deserts, like that's going to be a lot more productive.
So just to be clear, as you say, it's going on YouTube. I do not think we should shoot fat people disapproving looks. I do not think that's productive, but I think it speaks to the idea of like what behaviors do we stigmatize? Is it okay to shoot people? Because you would clearly want to shoot people bad looks for some things, right? So how do we figure out?
I'm gonna turn this around.
Uh-oh.
I think you should focus on individuals for individual choices. I think there's like a lot of, we should have conversations about like why McDonald's is so cheap and how much money they make off of working class Americans by selling really cheap burgers, and why
Poison.
Yeah, like why certain chemicals are like put in burgers to make them like tastier. I think like we put a lot of individual impetus on people that don't have a lot of choices, like you said about food deserts. I think there also they can hold like there can be two truths. You can be like there are individuals with not a lot of choices, and individuals also have the capacity to make choices. But yeah, you can blame like corporations for most things.
All right.
It's a big answer, but
Well, I'll give you last word. Thank you. Good.
Thanks.
You have fun?
Yeah, I had so much fun. Can't wait to see the YouTube comments.
Libtard.
Sorry.